Hey there, thought I'd do a quick video follow-up on that 6R140 teardown inspection where the 3.5R clutch burned to the ground within as little as 300 miles of driving. So if you didn't catch that one yet, the backstory is that the transmission came out of a Ford F-750 commercial water truck, and it's a Ford reman warranty replacement with roughly 300 miles on it, and the 3.5R clutch literally incinerated within that period of time. So once I had the unit all apart, cleaned up, and inspected, the first thing I did was test the 3.5R drum to see if it was leaking at the base welds where the 3.5R clutch would otherwise apply. And so if that was the case, then we found our smoking gun. However, when I did test it, I didn't find any leaks whatsoever. The drum appears to be fine. So that led me to the valve body, because that's really the only other place where this kind of failure can be sourced. So first, let me show you the clutch itself, and we'll look at it in context with the other clutch packs, and you'll see that there's basically no wear to any of them. So here's the 3.5R clutch in its entirety. You have your cushion plate, your flat steels, your line plates, and your backing plate. And as you can see, all of the friction discs are absolutely smoked. Most of them, if not all of them, are coned, and the 3.5R backing plate itself is heavily scored up. So let me see if I can get that in focus for you. There you can see, I mean, none of this stuff is usable. Even if you wanted to reuse the steels, which I would never recommend, you couldn't do that with this particular clutch package. Now, you look at the rest of them. Here's your 4.56, perfectly fine. Here's your 2.6. Again, no issues with it. And then you have your 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, clutches and steels look like new. And then lastly, your low reverse. Again, like new applied elements. So that brings us to the valve body. In this case, the upper valve body. So right here is our 3.5R clutch regulator valve train. So you're going to have a retainer, an end plug, the valve itself, and a spring inboard of the valve. So what we're going to show you is some vacuum testing prior to. We'll show you a manipulation of the valve itself, and then you'll see exactly why I believe this was to be the cause of the failure, and then we'll do a repair, and then we'll come back. We'll do a follow-up vacuum test, and then we'll also do a freedom of movement test once again to see if the repair was successful. I suspect I have found the reason for the failure. So we have the valve body here on the back test station, and we are running a vacuum check on it, and at rest it's sitting right around 13 inches of vacuum, which isn't the end of the world. It's not ideal. I'd like to see at least 15, but it's, you know, it's close. However, when I stroke the valve inboard, we'll see an increase in vacuum signal, which is fine. This is now in the working or regulatory position. You'll notice that when I remove my pick, it's staying in that position. So that tells me that this thing is seizing up a little bit, and it's either sticking wide open or it's not moving inboard at all. Either way, you'd have irregularities in line pressures in the 3.5R clutch circuit, which, you know, if this valve sticks either inboard or outboard in a way that it just doesn't reset, you could have a massive leak in that 3.5R clutch circuit, which would explain why this this particular unit's 3.5R clutch burns so severely. So anyway, I got to polish the bore up, and then you know, we'll kind of try it again to see if it's still sticking. If the bore is so out of round that it's sticking to the extent where even with bench buddies, I can't get it to relax and have it return to a rest position once I stroke it inboard, then we're unfortunately going to need to find another valve body. All right, so we have the valve back in, got the vacuum tester on it, and it's at rest position pulling 14 inches of vacuum. So what I'm going to try to do now, and I'm filming this with my cell phone, so one hand is occupied, I'm going to attempt to work the valve inboard while the vacuum tester is running. All right, didn't get a good grip. All right, there we go. All right, so it's returning back to rest position. So it's 12 inches. That's what it was, it was baseline. 16, didn't get a good grip. Okay, 16 would be fine in a regulatory position. My main concern is having this valve return back to rest position fully. And I know it's going to do that based on, well, frankly, how it feels when I'm manipulating it, as well as the baseline vacuum signal that I'm getting, and it's consistent this time. Okay, I'm not stroking it fully inboard. I'm just using this little pick, but it seems to be a lot better in terms of its movement relative to prior to running the bench buddy through it. Get my pick out of here. And this is where you test it. Right here. Now make sure it's, you're pressing down nice and firm on it. All right, baseline vacuum. Working vacuum, back to baseline, working, back to baseline. So I'm just manipulating it back and forth in the bore. Here I'm going all the way in as far as I can go with it. So it's giving me like 16, maybe 16 and a half. And then back down to about 10. And I'm moving this test block around a little bit. That's why you see it kind of jump. It's hard to do this with one hand, but anyway. I think I have a little bit more cleanup work to do with this thing, but it's moving a lot better than it was prior to running the bench buddy through initially. So as of right now, I'm going to tentatively conclude that this was the reason that this transmission failed with only 300 miles on it. All right, now we're done with the vacuum testing. Just come in here with a screwdriver and make sure that you don't have any more drag in this valve. That when you stroke it inboard like this, release the screwdriver, the valve will return against spring tension to its rest position. Okay, do this multiple times to make absolutely sure that you are not going to have a bind up with this valve getting stuck when the transmission goes back in and the vehicle returns to the road. Okay, here is the inboard position. This is where we're testing, right here. And it is reading a healthy 18.5 inches. To rule out any problems with the 3.5R clutch latch valve, you want to make sure you vacuum test that as well. So here is the test location in the casting. Pull it away so you can see it right there. And I'll put our tester back on it. And it looks like we're pulling a healthy 21.5 inches. So that's with the O-ring end plugs installed from the Sonic Zip Kit. All right, go ahead and check your clutch latch valve just to make sure that it's also not binding up, that it's moving nice and free. And it's returning against spring tension once you release your pick or whatever it is you're using to test it. I'm just using this little 90-degree pick. It gets up in there and it allows me to manipulate the valve nice and easily. Okay, so after consulting with Sonics, I've decided that I'm not going to move forward with this valve body. Only holding somewhere between 11 and 12 inches, even 10 inches. I saw on the on the gauge when I was vacuum testing it. On that 3.5R clutch regulator valve is a little bit too sketchy for me. So we're going to order up a new valve body from Central Valve Bodies, basically the entire kit, and fully assembled, ready to drop on. And I've never ever had an issue with their valve bodies in the years I've been using them. So anyway, that's the video. Hopefully it was informative for you. I just kind of wanted to close the loop on what had taken place and why establish a direct cause for the 3.5R clutch burn up. And I'm satisfied that I've done that. Tested the drum was fine, no leaks there. Tested this circuitry here in the 3.5R clutch regulator, and frankly it was stuck, and it's only giving me 10 inches or 12 inches, somewhere in like that, in the rest position. And that's just not going to be sufficient for an application like this, or really for any application. So anyway, as far as these other new parts, I'm going to keep this casting. I'm not going to send it back. I think their core charge is something like $25. I'll just eat that. And then once the reamer from Sonics becomes available for the oversized 3.5R clutch regulator valve kit that they sell, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. I'll ream this bore out, and then this valve body will be 100% good to go as a fully remanufactured and upgraded valve body. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them below. If there's anything else you want me to show you or discuss as it relates to the Ford 6R140, I am doing these transmissions more and more, so by all means, feel free to post it in the comments, and I will prioritize it as soon as I can. All right, until then, enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks again.